need to NBC Sports Plus and so on. But I can get everything else, so I can also up there from something.
Okay, Jen, you're gonna lead the meeting?
I can't call the meeting to order and I can't take.
Okay, all right. Meeting call to order. Audience of citizens, I see two names and I'm sorry, I'm just on the phone. I can't get through.
So Jay had, just so everybody knows, Jay is actually not coming. He's withdrawing his request. So we can cross Jay from audience of citizens off, as well as consent item D can be crossed off. Can you guys see?
Okay.
Just Town of Berlin and not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So Amanda is not on yet, so why don't we move forward to the consent agenda?
Okay, and we can, right, we'll come back to it. If you see her
Yeah.
jump on, just
If
let
you
me know,
guys
okay?
see another Zoom person jump on, that's Amanda, our audience. If you could just let us know, we'll move back to it.
Yeah, definitely.
So if you
Okay,
want to talk about consent items A and B.
Gotta approve the minutes.
Oh yeah, approval of
I'm,
minutes.
right, so, okay, let's go, approval of minutes. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of February 10th?
I'll make a motion that we approve meeting's minutes.
Second,
Second.
Joe, sorry. All approved, all,
Aye.
yeah, everybody was.
Aye.
Right? 5-0. All right, so consent agenda items, do you guys wanna make a motion for A and B, or do you wanna separate them? Does anybody see a need to separate A and B?
Be a second over here. Did we do B
God
last
bless.
We've done B last, lots of years.
year? Yeah, A we also did. Yep. Right? Yep. I'm okay with those.
B last year with the Borough High School.
Yeah. Somebody wanna make a motion to accept A and B?
Yeah, I make a motion to accept items A and B on the consent agenda. I'll second them.
All
Any
approved?
discussion?
Any discussion? Yeah. Approve?
Aye.
Yep. Approve, aye.
Still nobody? Alright. Go to Parks and Grounds.
Mine's gonna be pretty simple. We had several snowstorms throughout the season. We replaced a couple of catch basins inside the shop that just started to collapse over the years. We purchased a new rack body, and with that, we had to come up with a new water wagon to go out and water all of our flowers. So we built a contraption for the back of a 275-gallon water tank, a pump, a hose reel. We think that'll be really beneficial for the season. And then, believe it or not, we started to get everything ready for spring sports and some spring cleanups. About it.
Your next
You're next.
discussion
So,
regarding.
I hopped off the meeting early last month, and I think at the end of the meeting, there was some discussion regarding the refrigerator at Scalise Field. So from talking to the director of facilities, Doug, from what we're understanding is the health inspector came out, inspected the refrigerator. The refrigerator was at 43 degrees. They wish it was at somewhere around 35 degrees, and one of the condensers had frozen up in the back. I believe they did the inspection sometime on a Friday, and Doug and facility was not notified to the following Monday. So the protocol that's in place and has been in place for years for all field users or anybody using any of the town buildings, if they come across anything that is not correct, is to call the Berlin Police Department. The Berlin Police Department has a whole punch down list of who exactly is in charge of what buildings and what properties. And then at that time, even though it's something simple as a refrigerator, they would have contacted facilities or myself. We would have gotten a new refrigerator there and borrowed it, purchased it from somebody else within a couple of hours. So that's where I think everything went wrong, the lack of communication, is facilities was not notified in time to get out there. So like if Tony would have called the police and said, hey, the refrigerator's not working, the health department's not going to use us, within an hour, we probably would have had another one out. So moving forward, Doug is working in conjunction with the custodial staff that every weekend, every time there's an event, they will be out there when they clean the bathrooms. They will be locked going in and checking to make sure that the freezer, refrigerators, and all the appliances are up and working properly. And if they're not, report it back so we can take care of that in more time and fashion.
But there is a chance they check it works Friday and then Saturday morning it doesn't work.
Of course.
So that's where we have
But
to
that's-
spread the word that they
That's
need
what
to
I'm looking
call.
for.
They need to call the police department and let people know, so the right people are notified.
It's the same going thing we've had with all Berlin sports. especially Berlin Little League, because they have the air fryers, they have the air handlers, they have the grills, that they know that that's their thing. Any custodian inside the school, if they come across anything, that's just the way the system's been set up. And I think with the transition in the facilities department, a letter will be coming out that'll probably spell out exactly the proper chain of commands, how to go about reporting things in the future. And I imagine that's one of them. We could probably forward that out to you guys.
Will that be given to anybody who uses, who's gonna be using the facilities?
We've
Like,
told
let's
all
give-
our field users, and we'll continue to tell
Okay.
them year after year, that if there's anything after hours that is a concern, whether it's a field, whether it's someone on the field that shouldn't be, always call the police department, because they know who to contact.
And when we did the sit down last year with all the field users, we explained that to them, that that's how facility use works, is there a 708, and for most of us, they have our direct number to get a hold of us. That's the way we prefer to do it.
That's all I'm looking for, is that to make sure that somebody's looking at the stuff before we give out a rental.
Yep.
And there's a process to follow.
Yeah.
Good.
Hot topic, discussion regarding stage one softball and Zipadelli. For years, we've had people hopping over fences, using the fields and misusing them. And what's troublesome on this is whoever used stage one went to another field, repurposed the L screen that was at one field, hopped the fence, brought it to another field, and went out there and destroyed home plate and the pitcher's mound of stage one when their season is supposed to start. Zipadelli, the same thing. They went up, peeled back the tarp. If you look at the front of the mound, that mound right now, that's not repairable. Ground temperature right now, probably somewhere 32, 33 degrees, not gonna get grass to germinate. So that's the way it's gonna be looking going into the season. We've changed the locks. We've done everything possibly under the sun. But if we were to catch somebody, just like we catch people on Scalise, we don't have an accountability. If it's Berlin High School, you think Berlin High School is gonna go to their kid and say, hey, you're suspended for the season? If you call the Berlin Police Department come, you think they're gonna give them a summons for simple trespassing? That's kind of like you said last week, you're walking in a park, somebody doesn't have their dog, you have no credentials to go up to them and say, hey, by the way, your dog should be on a leash. We don't have anything in our policies and procedures to implement some type of punishment for them to deter them from doing this.
It's not considered trespassing if they're on a field on a weekend and.
I mean, we've
Yeah.
had the cops call people on police, the police get them off the field, and that's the end of it. They're not arresting kids for hopping the fence, so they're not gonna start doing it on other fields too.
So, a question. No,
Step.
so, I mean, it's been several years, but like for Zipadelli, all their equipment gets locked up in the shed that's there, like that little garage that's,
Or chained to a fence.
right?
So
So where did this one come?
So here's the difference between Berlin High School and Berlin Little League. Berlin High School, their coaches can't afford to lose their equipment. Their equipment costs $300-400. They want it locked up and secured. The rest of the people, they don't. The Gee School doesn't care. Pettit, if you go to Pettit right now, you're gonna find 2 L screens on the pitcher's mound. If you go to Gary Pacini, 2 L screens. Beretta, 2 L screens. They don't, oh, one now. Yeah, Brown says the other. But they don't have, there's no respect. I mean, we just rebuilt Orson Beretta Fields in, if you go there right now, I can guarantee halfway through this year, because of the amount of people we let use our fields and overuse of our fields, someone's gonna come across and say, hey, this field is in awful condition. How could you let this field is horrible? We've begged them to get mats, pitch for mats, take care of the field. Use them like they're your own, so they don't need constant work. They don't. So they don't have, like, to your point, they don't have enough respect for the equipment they have. They just throw it on the field and leave. And expect somebody else to repurpose it, revive it when it goes bad.
So that outfit, so, you know, my thought process was, someone must have had access to the shed, pull the L fence out, or something like that.
L screen didn't come from stage one.
The L
They don't
screen
have
came
L
from Beretta.
screens because it's softball, not baseball. It came from Beretta.
So
So
somebody
you
hauled
get
it from Beretta to,
Somebody went to Beretta, realized Beretta was too wet, grabbed the L screen, put it in the back of their truck, drove to stage one, threw it over the fence and had batting practice. And the kick is 2 days later,
so it's,
they went back
it's a
up.
regular user. It's not somebody else. It's not a bunch of kids. It's an actual.
It's not-
team somewhere.
It could
It's-
be, it could be a parent and child, it could be, yeah, we just.
It's not a college kid, it's all college kids are in school.
Yeah.
It's that age demographic, right? But I encourage you, please just go out and look at Beretta Field. I think I still have a picture on my phone of what that field looked like when we were done with it, and it's completely trashed.
You guys didn't hear back after you sent the email, nobody messed up.
George Settlino from Berlin Little League, sent it out to all of his coaches, as well as posting on the Berlin Little League Facebook, he told me, kind of, reprimanding if it was you, don't do it again. The AD sent it all to his coaches, big capital letters of the fields are not open yet, stay off of them. Other than that, we didn't get anyone to come forward.
So, I'm sure it's been very-
So we're sure that someone jumped the fence?
Yes, the bucket, there's a bucket of balls and an imprint on,
Yeah.
as Red Star would say, the northwest fence closest to the shed.
You can see where they jumped.
Got it. Okay, yep, got it.
Buckets
So-
there.
All
And
right,
that's-
so,
That field, I mean, those idiots, whoever they were, I mean, their footprints are in there, right? You can see, why would they want to go on there? Because it's kind of pumice dirt or whatever the heck it is.
I
you
mean,
know?
unfortunately, it's a problem that has been in Berlin for years. I mean, for years, people have been jumping fences and using fields without making reservations.
So
Unfortunately.
even if you ended up finding out, so say we found out who did it, there's really nothing for us to do about it. There's no recourse, we don't have any.
I don't believe the cops have followed through with an
We don't
arrest.
have any, I mean, we could.
well, but hey, Jen, so,
There's money costs. The town ends up having to pay for it, so, I mean, that's.
And plus, we already spent the money to fix both of those
Right.
fields. That's the
But
bad
you
part.
prep the fields, then somebody goes and ruins it, then you gotta go back and fix what you just
The
ruined.
problem is with that is any single time we saw somebody was on the field, Steve would have to call the PD and actually file a report every single time this happened.
Yeah.
Which would be a lot.
so, just so I'm clear, though, what were you saying in the beginning? That if we wanted to, we would have to adopt a policy to make it a
I don't
criminal
think you-
offense?
I don't think you can adopt a policy. It would fall into the Berlin Police Department. And like I said, the only way that would happen is if every single time we found out somebody was on the field, if damage was done, you have to do it every single
Okay.
time. you find somebody
All
on the
right,
field, you
so,
File a repeat police report.
The only way to make
Well,
it
Okay.
law is to come through town council.
so why don't we take these pictures and take a picture of Beretta and send it to us? I'll post it. I'll call the citizen. I'll give them the pictures, and I want an article written about this. And I want to say that we will be starting to report these things as we can, or whatever, use the wording. Just to say, to let people know that we're aware that this is happening and we need it to stop. I'd also appreciate understanding how much it costs us to fix. In terms of hours, just an estimate or whatever. So, I mean, we got to put it out. I realize this is going to happen and all that, but we got, we've put a lot of money into these fields now. We got to put it out, let people know, we're not going to take it anymore type of thing. So,
I mean,
I'm just gonna ask the chair a question. If that's all right, Donna.
can't hear you.
I don't think she can hear you.
I can hear
Are
you.
you talking
I can.
about an awareness campaign? Is that what you're trying to do?
Yeah, sure.
Sir?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I was actually thinking the same thing before you brought it up. If something that, that we could, maybe suggest to take action on, but it depends on where we put it, where we're gonna put that, because if we put it in.
We're gonna
put it in
put-
the system, everyone's gonna get it, but they might
Okay,
not
wait.
run it, as we know, as I know through other commissions I've worked with.
No, so I'll call Nick Carroll at the Citizen. He's starting back at Berlin a little bit. He's a good guy. I'll call him. Wait a minute, Brady. Wait, just let Gammy talk first. My granddaughter talks like I do, nonstop. So,
Yeah, that's the next part is.
yeah. So, but yes, I'll call him. I'll say,
Yeah.
we want an article. Maybe I'll talk to the police department beforehand and just say, okay, so the procedure is if, again, if we're able to, whatever the wording's gonna be, we'll contact the police. I want the police to be aware that we're gonna say this in the article.
Also,
And,
as chair of the commission, Donnie, you should probably run it through a Roche as well. So he's aware of
Yeah.
what's going on there. On
Yeah, no
behalf of-
problem. No problem.
mean, there's gotta be a penalty. If you're talking about damage in the thousands,
And that's kind of my point of coming up with some type of policy or guideline that sits there and says if somebody notifies that if we go out there and it's Berlin Little, like we ran into the instance last year where the night we got 3.5 inches of rain, somebody's driving by, somebody's mowing down. We closed fields. And
Right.
down there, had a few choice words with the individual who was mowing along with their homeowner mower that they brought from their house. And his answer was, well, we didn't know the fields were closed. Well, the president of Berlin Little League, Berlin Little League's response was, I don't close. That doesn't mean-"
chest.
So they're out, middle of a storm, mowing the fields, we mow our fields in the off season. 4 inches, they're mowing it at 2 inches. So now I have a scalped soccer field going into the fall. So it goes all ways. So if we catch Berlin Little League out there sooner, okay, we can't revoke their permit. I can't tell Berlin High School you're going to suspend this kid. So where's our base
no,
to
but
start?
I think people know that it's gonna cost, whatever their actions are, it's gonna cost the town of Berlin X amount of dollars to fix it. Money that we don't wanna re-spend on it.
At the end of the day,
Right.
is their- Which at the end of the day is their tax dollars, which is a good
But
point.
there's
Right.
the problem is there's no fixing Loretta's infield without redoing it. There's no fixing Zipadelli's mom for abuse right now in the season, 2 weeks before their season starts. It's, you've got to get the grass to German, then you got to keep people off, then you got to close the infield. We had the same problem we had the Billy Bugs up there. We closed the infield, thank God for American Legion to work with us for 4 weeks.
Now, the people that are gonna be using that field in 2 weeks, have they been told that there's a problem in the field?
Yeah, we met with the
Leo
athletic
is,
director.
Leo is perfect, he will always do everything he has, where the other fields, they won't. Berlin Little League won't buy the correct mats to put at home plate, nor will they buy the correct mats.
We should ask them to come to a meeting, we just met the
Yeah,
guy.
we have a new president. Right.
Have them come back and tell
I
them
mean,
about our
it's-
problems.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's not the same president, it's a new one,
Right.
so they might be a little bit
That's
more
something you
receptive.
and
We have a
You and I
brand new,
would say-
we have a brand new relationship.
I'll resend the email that I sent last year to Bill Pettit and
You and
regarding
I-
exactly the mats, and Joe Miller regarding the mats that should be used at all.
I think you and I sit down with George and say, this is the issues last year, we're hoping you can help us stop these issues. He seems like he wants to make a change. I don't think it's necessary for him to come to the commission. I think it's just to sit down and say, these are the issues we've had with the Little League before. I mean,
It's
it's
fine too, but
And I mean,
we're all
really,
here to support them. so-
Yeah,
Right.
and let them know, right, let them know that we discussed it though, but we'd rather you guys handle it, and if need be,
But if we can
then we'll get
handle it
involved.
and it gets handled, great. If it doesn't get handled, then all of a sudden, George, could you please come to the commission?
Right. Right.
I met with you at the beginning of the season. This is what they requested. Why didn't you do that kind of thing?
That's fine.
And this is our other thing, is we're trying, Tony, you've asked us to be very transparent with everything that's going on. And that's why we're throwing more emails out there, the stuff that we're coming across, because if you're breaking bread with somebody, or you're out at Farmington Ave, and somebody comes up to you, or at the bungalow and says, you know what, we just put $500,000 into stage 1 and it looks like shit. Well, you have now ammo to sit there and say, instead of being like, well, this first I heard of it, hey, listen, we've been very on top of it. We want you informed.
And I appreciate that, and it's, I mean, as I go around from place to place, walking around, and you run across stuff, and you see it yourself, it's better to know, than to be surprised.
Yeah.
Just like the poop signs.
And the only thing is, we have no problem sending those emails. It's my fault. I should have said it in the email that we were gonna discuss it tonight. We have to get away from having these giant narratives in via email as a commission, because other commissions have been talked to about that. Everything we put in these emails is FOIable. So when we send out an awareness, I'll make sure I put in it, hey, this is something we're gonna talk about in the next meeting. If anyone has any specific questions,
Yeah,
give us a.
good.
Speaking of that, it's actually going to my personal stuff working on, so there's a lot of things that my personal slash working side the line, there's a lot of client information that cannot go.
If you ever want me to send it somewhere else, just tell me.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to update that.
Yeah, just let me know. Push on the drive.
So let me ask this question. So obviously, right, a couple of kids trying to get some batting practice. Instead of just screwing around and trying to damage stuff. It's gonna potentially damage. So they're trying to get some batting. Is there some place in town?
First of all, right?
Stage 3 and stage 1 both have batting cages. Both
Beretta's
have batting
open
cage nets.
field.
Beretta has batting cages.
Center
Batting
open.
East, Center Alley, they're open. Once
So,
the net
so
goes
they
up.
had an option to do something other
Go on a field.
than go on a field and scratch. And the reason why I'm at, like, again, this goes back years ago. Batting cages were locked, but now they're open, so kids.
Right, yeah, because people don't wanna lock locks. There used to be locks on every gate at every little.
Beretta is an open cage. All the time,
Okay.
right?
Loretta's open all the time.
Beretta is.
So there are options there that they can pursue, should they want to pursue.
Little League also has is indoor batting.
Yeah. They're competitive field.
Yeah.
Cameras, we don't have any. So, you know, we, all this money's been put into these fields.
We don't have the current infrastructure, hopefully with the running of the fiber optics, we'll be able to
Right.
tie
I
into
was
sewer
gonna bring
systems.
that up, so what do we need to do to include that into that sign redo, to include
Include fiber or include actual cameras on each field?
cameras?
The fiber's gotta get that.
Right.
I thought the discussion was they were gonna try to get the fiber to all of the fields.
That's,
So everybody can utilize it, then we would be able to tap into it, then we can go with Debbie sees in a lot of pools where there are like infrared cameras that pick stuff up. If somebody hops
Right.
into it, there's a lot of grants out there now, and I think Bill DeMayo might have been one of the first ones to create the program or something, he's with field. So that means all of our lights, our irrigation, the cameras and all that would run off the same interface that'll be on site.
All right, so that's a humongous undertaking to wire all those different systems, electronics to,
right, that we can't add to the state grant.
no,
The state
but
grant is just fiber.
just separating it, doing it with cameras on the field. You know, I mean, if you spend $1 million on the softball field, you should have at least a single camera on there taking a look
Well-
at, at least recording what's on there, right?
Are you talking like a trail cam, and just mounting it up there like a ring?
Well, okay, so I have properties, we have security cameras on there, cameras that are HD, zoomable, very nice, you know. Or I've had properties where I put up a wireless cellular, something simple, and it just records the action. You dial in, you record it, and you don't need power, you don't need Wi-Fi or anything for it.
Wireless cellular camera, did it have a spot in the back for a disc?
There's nothing on it.
Yeah, you said the word cheap, so of course it's not.
Right, right.
For this camera, okay, you can have this, and all you do is you put in a memory card in it, and then you buy a chip that runs for a cellular connection.
Yep.
It's like, I don't know, $14 a month, and that's it.
Okay.
And then it goes on an app on your phone, and you can dial in, and it'll record everything that goes on. You can set it to notification. You can put this on a tree, on a pole, anywhere. As long as you have a clear vision for a little solar panel up this big. You don't need any wiring.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you, Tony.
I did that for a dumpster. So, and the dumpster is $114 a month. If our field is $1 million,
550. We stayed in budget.
well, I know, but you need,
Like always.
you know, we're saying 3 cameras at Sage Park.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think what Steve and I are gonna do is we're gonna sit down with a Roche. We didn't wanna do that until we kind of talked to you guys and got your feedback and everything. Steve and I are gonna sit down with a Roche and see exactly what he thinks the next steps are. If we want to install something like this, if Steve has the funds to do so, is it something we should, you know, let council know about? All of a sudden, I don't want council going, hey, there's cameras on the field, what's going on? So.
Well, that's
think
probably the
that's our
cheapest
next
way to
step.
go on any kind of camera thing. Then the other, you know, obviously, the really nice systems, I put one in 2 years ago. It was like 15 grand for 6 cameras. But those are nice, HD, zoomable, they work at night, all that. You know, that's the other way, that could be part of the project.
Sure.
So this camera actually has a speaker, you can listen, and you can also talk through it.
Oh,
Beautiful. Tony will give you access.
Here, let's-
He's gonna have some of that.
So the last thing that's not part of the agenda on the parks and grounds is Connecticut Park Association is going to remove a trail, the Connecticut Trails, on the backside of Timberland, and they're going to extend it by pass this along. So here's kind of the proposed path, and they're gonna be out on the backside of Timberland. What they're asking for is kind of utilize the pavilion area.
Another person?
Yeah.
And this is from the Connecticut Forest and Park Associations. I just want you guys to know.
Okay. So if anybody goes any hiking or anywhere, you see the blue signs, they think are tribal, that's who they are. This is their trail, and they go and they maintain it, they do whatever it is, and they want to relocate. And I'm meeting with them next Tuesday, the 15th, just to take a walk through it. They'd like to kind of use the Timberland area where the pavilion is, not the pavilion itself, but kind of the outskirts of the camp for the week with the group. I'll pass this around. Just want to make sure you guys are okay with it.
Once we find out the dates that they would be there, if you guys are okay with it, we would make sure Terry knew not to rent the pavilion out at that time, even though they're not technically renting the pavilion, they're gonna be in the vicinity.
Right.
So we wouldn't want to rent it out to a party at the time that they're doing this. We don't have a time frame as to how long it's going to take. Steve will find that out next week. We just want to make sure that, hey, this is a great opportunity to fix up one of our trails and really add some.
It's
Beautification
fixing
to
up
it.
an existing trail.
Yeah, they're relocating
Relocating.
an existing trail.
Okay.
I think what, less than 500 feet or about
Yeah.
500 feet?
Is that, so the I was watching a conservation committee, they were talking about where it wasn't great over there.
Yes.
So it's nothing that we need approval for because, like I said, it's a Connecticut association. They're not looking to rent anything. They're looking to do something good for the town. They've already talked to Jim Mahoney. He's on board. We just want to make sure we have your support on this to get them to go ahead. I mean, it's a win-win for us.
I've never walked back there, so I don't know. Haven't seen that. So the next time I do will be nice.
Yeah.
There you go.
And we'll keep you guys in the loop once we know exactly when they'll be out there, in case you hear anything.
Can I revisit back to, since you're talking to President?
Can we talk to our audience
Yeah, go ahead.
citizens first? Amanda, did you join?
Yes, I did. I'm sorry, I'm late.
That's okay. So you're with the Park and Rec Commission. Guys, this is Amanda from Audience of Citizens and Consent Agenda Item C. Amanda, can you just give us a little overview of what you're looking to do at Pistol Creek for the commission?
Yeah, so we're basically looking to use the back porch for our wedding reception. It'd be from, I think it was 8 till 7 p.m. Yeah, we would have, like wine, we'd have wine, beer, champagne, and just like an iPod for music. There'd be about a little under 100 guests.
And I'm sorry, Amanda, it's from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m.?
Yeah, I believe that's what I put down.
And do you need the inside of Pistol Creek?
We would only need part of it just to put the food inside, but otherwise everything will be outside.
A refrigeration or anything, or just
And
They will have access to the refrigerator and there is a freezer there. That's part of the rental, no matter what part you rent, you do have
Okay.
access.
Yep.
And I did tell Amanda that.
okay.
yeah, and Amanda would get tulip insurance if the alcohol permit is approved. The alcohol permit right now is at PD. Wait, we didn't get it back?
I didn't go.
Yeah, so, pending, I mean, if you guys want to adjust your motion to pending approval of the PD, because they always sign it off first, we just didn't get it, back yet. I'm fine if you guys want to adjust that, just so we can move past it and get it ready for town council.
Okay,
anyone
and-
have any questions for Amanda? Nope.
Congratulations and have a good time.
Yeah, I hope it's a beautiful day. Hope it's a
Yeah,
beautiful
thank
day.
you. Thanks.
Okay,
So,
Amanda,
Go ahead, Jen.
Thanks for coming on, and myself or Debbie will reach out to you once we have everything straightened away.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming on, we appreciate it.
Thanks, Amanda.
All right, have a good night.
Be kind of additional spruce up, knowing if she's gonna be hosting a wedding.
It's a reception? No, because there's nothing on the back then. Well, like,
With the
what,
grounds.
well, Steve will know that it's rented, so
Well, there's just crew everywhere.
right behind the clubhouse?
Yeah.
Oh.
We'll take care.
Jen, how much do they pay for the rental?
The rental is, because they're reserving the deck area, it's $25 an hour. They also will pay $50 an hour for staff coverage, and that includes an additional hour for the staff to come in before 8 o'clock, and then to just make sure everything's all set from 7 to 7:30. And they're aware of that. She's already signed off on it. She's already actually paid the deposit. She might have actually paid the rental fee too, so.
So they have access to inside though, but we don't necessarily charge for that, is that it?
That's correct. She's not reserving the inside. She's just to put the food in there, which is what I've done for every group that wants to rent the deck. Sometimes they don't want to have the food outside because of bugs. So, you know, I mean, there's access right there.
Okay,
Go in and out of the deck area. And again, we have a staff person that's a custodian is there for the entire rental. So they they help monitor to make sure they don't wander around.
thank you.
Do you guys want to go back and vote on consent item C?
Sure.
Yep,
I'll make a motion to approve consent agenda item C. Pending the approval of the alcohol permit by the Berlin Police Department.
any further discussion? None, all in favor, aye.
Okay, Greg, you want to jump back to
Yeah,
something?
so when you guys talk to the president of the Little League,
Mhm.
you might want to mention to Steve about the fact that they were mowing whenever. And I'm sure they get notified because we are on the mass email, right? Just to make
That, believe me.
Their words exactly were that those rules do not change. They thought that was only for high school.
But we will let George know the
But
history.
that was
we've had.
different guys. Now it's a new
We
guy.
will let George know the history of what we had.
We went on a Zoom meeting better part of 3 weeks ago with them. And we kind of went through everything of what our expectations of them are, what their expectations of ours are, how we can make this relationship work and blossom. And both of us seem very applicable and ready to move forward.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna have any problem coming in for a meeting with me and Steve.
Do they send announcements out that the fields are closed?
They actually took the pictures and put it on their Facebook page, pretty much saying, hey, this is called.
Oh, I understand, but when,
Yeah, if we close fields, we send it to the people we have contacts with, and we hope that they send it on to their coaches.
When they send something like that, does it include the softball branch?
Yep.
Yes,
yeah, sure, yeah.
yeah, we have different people in charge of that area.
And again, this goes back to years, but I do recall Little League, the fields were closed. When the kids were playing Little League, you get them out. Either from the coach or the league saying fields were closed. That's when.
Right.
I make sure, I have administration to our soccer, and every family gets it. What it used to be was, if John was traveling, he may not have gotten it, so I'm on the list now too. And so he would send it out to the supervisor, and it was the supervisor's responsibility to send it out. I just send it out to everybody, so there's no, they don't have to worry about anything.
Right.
I get tired of it. Which is a good thing.
So, personal soccer field update, the bid is out, the RFP is out, we feel really good about it. Steve and I worked really hard on it. We came up with, we're actually going for design services, but we're also looking to hire for them to do a feasibility study, which will help us really narrow down the price going into construction and make sure we have enough funds, we don't have to go to council for more funds, so. We feel really good about that. I believe the bid opening is Monday the 21st or Monday the 28th. I can't remember exactly which Monday it is. we'll move on from there. State of Connecticut grant,
Excuse me, is the timeline still the same?
yes, if it changes, we'll let you know. State of Connecticut grant is at the Attorney General's office for final signature. Everyone else except him has signed, so fingers crossed, it's gonna be soon. But they haven't said anything for it.
Yeah, that's what it was.
And we're being told that these synthetic turf manufacturers and companies and installers, they booked up rather quickly this year, so Jen and I have a lot of legwork ahead of us to make sure that we have everything ready to go for this field.
So it's pretty well, you talk about.
Well, we have to make sure we have the geotech, the design services, everything out, the permitting way before probably January 1st.
Yeah, I mean, we look well planned to get everything out this spring, summer, as long as we have the okay to do so.
Who's handling the, sign, replacement portion of that? That's Elise. It's a new sign.
Oh, that's falling under facilities, I think you're involved a little bit.
Yep.
So can you bring that up about how we are, how can we add to that?
We won't be able to add to that project because it's how the grant is written. The grant is written for fiber in town to all of the fields at Sage Park and the Jumbotron.
Right.
We,
So right now what they're doing is they're going out to get quotes. On at first, the original quote was saying it was $170,000. These figures are nowhere near correct. To run the fiber from Sage Park, from the beginning of Serrano Drive to the Jumbotron. Then the next price came in for, say, they would do it for us to pay $10,000 a year over the next 10 years, and they would run it underground, tap into the cable. This first one had to come from Town Hall to there. This one would go from Serrano Drive underground with conjunction of town staff digging it, and then it would branch off to all the facilities. So they're paying their budget, they're coming up with their budgetary numbers two different ways. Doing it underground and going to all the fields, and using town resources and town staff, or hiring a subcontractor to come in and do the whole thing soon as months. But there is funding, and they were looking to make sure there was enough funding to bring this to all fields. So that if there was a baseball game or a softball game and they were in the playoffs, they could Zoom it, grandma and grandpa in Utah could watch it. That's the way I was understood. I will check again with Doug and report back to you next week.
I'm just thinking this is a perfect or appropriate time when they're doing all of that to look at security or Wi-Fi or whatever it is you need to do to connect the rest of your stuff to. You know, why do it then and afterwards? Right?
Yep.
And then if there's got to be an additional dollar amount requested, then we should know that so that we can try and do that. Whatever the is. Thank you for taking care of that problem.
Sign at Timberland.
Yeah. You were extremely speedy on that, Steve. I appreciate it. I mean, I think it was all done and said by what, 8 o'clock in the morning.
I wasn't even in the office yet. It was
Yeah,
already all done.
the sign was ready. Somebody left a nasty sign at, right next to the walking road and the back 9 at Timberland. That goes up to the chicken. Somebody bagging their dogs on the side of the road. And it was, you know, it was an actually pre-printed, wrapped in plastic on a wooden frame sign. And so I sent these guys a picture of it. He ran right out and ripped it all down, put a nice Town of Berlin sign in a trash can.
The system works, that's why it's there.
So, thank you.
Well,
Okay, so well, everyone got my monthly report. I don't know if anyone has any questions. There are a couple of things I wanted to bring up that are not on there. One is I received a call the other day for someone wanting to rent out Pistol Creek for a Friday night stag. I think at this point, fortunately, the timing was not going to work because they could not get on this agenda. They were looking to go in the end of April, so there wasn't enough time to go through the commission and the council. And then the gentleman turned around and called Terry I believe today or this morning, asking about renting Timberland Park for the stag. And she gave the same thing, that the timing was off, that they wouldn't get the approvals till right before it. And Jerry had gotten a call, Jerry from the golf course, and he had called me to just, so I could tell him what the procedure is. And I explained it to him. But I would like to just bring up, I'm not really sure that a stag is an event that we want to rent a town facility or park to, or picnic area. That's just my opinion. I would like to get some feedback, because I could see a lot of downside to that, and I don't want to be the person, with my neck on the line because I'm approving it. I have a lot of hesitation with that, but I want to get feedback from the commission.
Today we're gonna play with our
We've done birthday parties, we've done bridal showers, now we're doing the wedding, which are, to me, a little bit more controlled events. We've done family reunion, but not a stag. I mean, a Friday night stag to me is, I'm not really sure that a town facility is appropriate setting for us to approve that and have that happen. But again, that's just my opinion,
Is
so.
there a time limit like on rentals, like on a Friday night? Is it gotta be over by dark?
I think it's 11:30, because then, with the overtime for the custodians, because we pay them that extra half hour, so they don't want it to go into another day. So we wouldn't want to go from Friday to, I think that's what we've done in the past. We haven't really, we don't rent during the week, it's only a Saturday and Sunday. And Saturday is definitely a drop, because it's a different pay week, so they don't want to have that pay stagger over 2 pay weeks.
Most people in this town that do stags do the time cover the whole event. So,
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Or Legion, but Legion, they actually, they're fixing the roof and everything, it's all crazy right now.
So what happens if someone says, I want to go back to the stag park, and we say no?
Joe, I can't always hear you,
Oh,
but
I'm sorry. Donna, my question was this: what happens if someone wants to throw, stag party? And we say, no, we don't allow stag parties. But we
Right,
allow
right.
bridal showers without
So
alcohol.
it's not the event that you don't allow, you would, so the ordinance is that they can't have alcohol on the premise, for one example,
All right.
without commission and council approval. So
Right.
you be able, I mean, the ordinance states it has to have Parks and Rec Commission approval. So you could always hold to that ordinance, you decided not to approve it. I'm gonna pull up the ordinance now to see if it says
We would
anything about
decide not
actual.
to approve
but what,
we're not letting them have alcohol, so. we're
Right.
not gonna wanna-
You, I mean, you could have, let's say, Amanda, for example, let's say you guys decided, you know what, it sounds a little fishy, it sounds like a suspicious group, we're gonna say no. Then all of a sudden, boom, it's done. I'm sorry, guys, the commission has the right to say no to allowing alcohol. The problem with the stag is, you can say no to alcohol, but in the end, what happens if they say, well, we'll just come and not do alcohol? How do we stop that from happening?
right, so why, I kind of understand, Debbie, what you're talking about, but I don't, personally, I wouldn't have a problem renting out to a stag with alcohol. They get the tulip insurance. And if it's over so many people, they have to have a police officer there, correct?
We
There's-
don't have that in the policy, no. I mean, I
And-
would
but-
guess you could have that, but we don't, that's not part of our policy.
Well, the policy, I think I've asked this before, and the policy is that we have to be compliant with the police department. And if there's an event with, over X number of people, I believe they have the rule that a police officer has to be present. If not, we should, I believe we should put it in, whether even this wedding that's going on, right? That if it's over that, whatever that number is, that a police officer would have to be hired.
I mean,
and
I
I
always had an agreement with the prior chief of police, Chief Klett. If anything at Sage was ever gonna be over 100 people, I'd give him a heads up, but it wasn't a policy in place or anything. And many times when I told him, hey, I got this football game, it's over 100 people, he's like, that's fine. And he, and so I don't even know what they have in place at the police
All right, so
department.
I guess to that point then, Jen and Deb, can you have a discussion with the chief of police and explain the situation, and that I mean, I would agree with you that we should have it in our policy, that over X number of people, we would require a police officer to be hired. And then you have the custodian there throughout that stag, let's say. And if the custodian sees, you know, the number of people climbing and they thought it was going to be under, just say it's 100 people, under 100, but there's definitely more than that. He picks up the phone and calls the cops and they get charged for it.
You know, you have a stag at the Legion. You don't really get out of control because there's Legion guys that are there. But you know that it's somebody's there that's in charge of the
Right,
building.
and now we're,
You know,
Right.
and they're gonna, they'll really do a number on you if you mess up.
Oh, yeah, no.
But you rent the pavilion till 11:30 on a Friday night, yeah, there's no one there.
Well, same thing with the Italian club. The Italian club, you know,
Right.
there's always gonna be a
There's people
bartender there anyway,
Right.
and that guy typically runs the Italian club for.
There's somebody there.
For
But everywhere else is pretty much supervised, so, you know, if you get a little bit out of control.
But so, an event like this happens, they leave 11:30, 12 o'clock. When's the next time that somebody is not, says, I'm gonna check the place and make sure?
No, our staff secures the building when they leave. That's why we have someone there the whole time.
So if there's damage done to the facility, or anything happens,
Right.
we would not, I don't wanna say as soon as it happens, but very soon after it happens, we could reach out to the people that were renting it and say, you're responsible.
Yeah, I mean, they only pay a $90 deposit, which is not gonna, you know, it's not gonna cover much if there's a lot of damage.
Right. And maybe we need to revisit the dollar values. I mean, even the, you know, when it's $25 an hour to rent the deck, that's pretty cheap. You know, but so we should review those dollars.
you guys review the fee schedule every year. We bring that to the commission. It's never been brought up before.
Right. So we really haven't focused on it, but we probably should.
I think that a stag party could turn, you know, it's not a bridal shower. It's, you know, you have a lot, on a
It's a
Friday
bridal-
night, you got a lot of guys
So
that are gonna
bridal
be
showers
there.
have turned wild.
You know what, though?
I've seen that.
Most of the bridal showers we have don't even serve alcohol, so I'm not trying to like pick one over the other, but this, I mean, that, again, I said that's my personal opinion. If you guys wanna
Yeah,
have it,
right.
it's not gonna be on me. It's, okay, this is something that's approved, then.
It's,
we'll go
right.
there.
Everybody has their opinion. That's fine. But, and to be fair, women, you know, there are women stags. I mean, I've been to a couple and it can be a lot of fun. So, you know, but I really do think we shouldn't discriminate just because it's a so-called stag, right?
Right.
I think
is important
sometimes
to
guys
know-
run a little softer stags than what I've seen at women's stags, so.
Just to know, because he did mention Pistol Creek, and then when he found out, he did try to go to Timberland. Timberland, because it is an outdoor park, it's only
Right.
open until dusk. So the
Right.
hours are different, whereas at Pistol Creek, they could go inside and stay later, so just keep
Right.
that in mind.
I mean, and I know these rules have changed. When the VFW first opened, you could not have a stag party. You could have a bachelor party, you could have a bridal shower, you know, birthday party, you could have had just about anything you wanted there. They refused to allow stag parties to occur. Now, that has since changed. Stag parties there, but they were tame. But
And they may be, I'm just expressing as the person who would be responsible to book that. I don't want it to come back and have there be an issue and say, why did you feel that you could rent out for this type of group? I cover my bases. basically.
Oh, no,
And if it does come to the commission,
I've been here too long to have us something like this ruin my.
You know, we're not gonna be able to solve it here, but maybe what we should do is everybody think about it and we bring it up at the next meeting and kind of codify things. You know, it's gonna be one of those things we work on. I think, Deb, it's a fair point, but you know, you realize you have the commission behind you It's, no one's gonna, if we have a policy that we allow rentals and we decide that, yeah, we would allow a stag, that's not specifically you. And, you can be on record and saying, I never liked it and blah, 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 but if it's voted on by the commission, then it's implemented. So,
Do you get these requests often?
It's the first time for stag since we've been renting this.
First time?
Yeah.
In 5 years?
I don't know,
10 years?
maybe,
2000,
So we're not talking about a
maybe
lot.
6-7 years.
We're not
I
talking about a
mean,
lot.
either way, they're gonna have to come
Right.
before us
We're talking about it.
in order to,
Yeah, they would
for
have
us
to
to allow
come to the
alcohol
meeting.
on
Right,
premises. So,
right.
I mean, it's one of those things, it sounds like it's probably not gonna, they might just go to a private venue anyway.
Right now, I
Well, they
mean,
don't, they couldn't, the timeline didn't work for this, so.
Okay.
Right. right.
Because they couldn't get on tonight's agenda, by the time they got to April and got council approval, they'd have less than a week for one of the dates he gave me to put everything together, it's not enough time.
Yeah, that's too. I mean, yeah, we could talk about it, but at the end of the day, it's just like, we've never done it before, maybe. I don't know.
at the end of the day, if the commission votes to approve it, to me, whenever you vote to approve something, you have our backs. As long as.
Absolutely.
that's in the rule, then I think
Well, I mean, yeah.
it works.
And don't forget, again, the council has to approve it as well. So there's a lot of people looking at this, but
And this is
But
one I require.
it's, yeah, it's certainly something to consider, and it is different and it hasn't happened before. So, so it's something that we should, think about.
Surprised it hasn't happened more often.
Yeah, I guess I'm a little,
Why wouldn't you wanna try to have a stag at a more?
yeah, Pistol Creek to me is a beautiful thing. Yeah, especially when the weather's a little warm.
Well, but don't forget, we
Maybe
don't
we
rent
can
it.
advertise.
We got June, July, and August, we don't rent it, because we have our setup for our camp, so.
Or I can't, but May or September or even April.
Oh, but even the pavilion at Sage Park, the thing at Timber, they're awesome. They'd be great for things like that. I'm surprised they don't get
Right.
more than that.
Get the farm going.
All right, well, I just wanted to mention it anyway.
I'm glad you brought it up. Thank you.
The other thing I just wanted to say is I was able to finally hire my part-time program coordinator.
Oh, great.
Yep, so she started this week. Right now, she's gonna work 15 hours a week. That's what it's budgeted for, but come summer, I'm gonna be able to pull some funds from our other programs so that she can work 35 hours a week, which will be very helpful for me, especially since right now I don't have an aquatics director. So that's good. She's working on some field trips right now. We're actually, we met with a person who's going to do high school and middle school yoga, so we're having her coordinate that whole program. So got her involved in some things, and we'll look for some additional programming.
Excellent. Good. And, at some point, could you introduce her to, she can zoom in, maybe
Run
just
it back
introduce her to the
because
commission?
Clientele's a senior, so we'll probably look to see if he wants to come back in the fall.
Okay.
So,
He's great, Andrew. He's
Right.
great. Yeah, he's great.
Question for Skyhawk.
yeah,
Are there only certain things that they do, or is it like?
well, we're running, I think we're doing 8 camps with them this year. Actually, basketball is already filled. We're trying to maybe up the numbers for that. It's a really popular program. They do, for the little kids, they do a variety of sports, but we also have specifically basketball, volleyball, STEM soccer, which is big now. But the little kids, they'll do like a basketball, flag football, soccer, combination.
So there's a variety of different sports that they could.
For the younger kids more than the older kids are more specialized.
Oh.
And there's a lot of them that we don't run, like I would like to get back into track and field and try to offer that, but I don't want to offer it and then have the track.
I can go
available
downstairs.
Into, and so until we can get that project complete at the high school, I'm not gonna look to do that, but we offered it one summer, we didn't get enough participation, but I'm willing to try to offer that again.
to my last question, and I saw this in the write-up. What? That side.
Yeah.
What is it?
It's, the STEM stands for, I don't know the
Science,
breakdown of it.
technology.
Yeah.
Engineering, math.
Yeah.
So that's what I kind of assumed, but I'm like, what's that side, right?
We did it last summer, I forget how many kids we had in class, maybe like 8 or 10, so, yeah. Yeah.
Skybox is fantastic. It's a program run nationwide. It's really good.
Yeah, they really do a top-notch job on it. And it allows us to offer so many more programs without me having to hire all the additional
Right.
staff. And they do
Yeah.
hire a lot of local kids to run the camps, which is nice.
Right.
So,
Okay.
Our double play combination of physical activity and cognitive thinking provides a comprehension, inquiry-based educational experience and solution for crucial science, technology, engineering, and math literacy.
That's it.
We're making money
It's
on
cool.
that.
Yeah.
STEM soccer.
Yeah.
What do you think about?
Most of the programs we run are out of our special revenue self-sustaining account, so yeah, we do, I think I made a couple thousand after we paid the town their fees, because we have certain fees we have to pay the town, so I think last year we made a couple thousand actually, so that just allows that, to have that in the account, if we want to run something else, we're a little short, we can use that money to do it.
All right. Thank you.
Yes. Very popular.
How many people sign up for these, sir?
We're not doing signups this year, we're going back to traditional hunt.
Okay.
Now that everything, all the mandates have been dropped, we're gonna do a regular hunt. And we'll have the Easter bunny set up in a separate area for pictures, so that we can run the hunt quicker. And not have people standing on the field, waiting in line for the picture taking, we can get them off and then run the next group, so. I think people will like that better. The faster we can get them in and out, the better.
Is there an age requirement?
2 to 10.
We're out.
Yeah.
Thought it was gonna be for the young and the old, right?
That's right.
So that's all I had, unless anyone has any.
Thank you,
Donna,
Deb.
do you want to do a community center update?
Yeah, so I'm doing this off the cuff. So probably since our last meeting, the commission might have met twice. We had the Y come in. We were actually in the town council chambers. The executive director of the Meriden Y, John Benigni, came in, did a presentation, a pitch for, the Y option in contrast to the combined community and senior center, town funded. I think he did a fair job. He was pretty straightforward. I had some follow-up questions. We did, as a commission, we submitted 2 pages of questions to John. And, as I said in our last meeting, I was disappointed with the answers because most of them would be to be determined. So there's not a lot of information, that the townspeople would know. In other words, what is the building going to look like? John did say he thought that somewhere around a 33,000, which is the size of the Meriden Y, maybe some additional square footage would be needed in Berlin, but probably not more than that. Now that's in contrast to the town funded current design, which, is 70,000 square feet currently. So, knowing and seeing the Meriden Y, quite frankly, personally, I think it's too small. There's areas like he said, well, Donna, the racquetball courts we could use and turn that into something else, Yes, I know that, but the pool area is congested. It's not a competitive pool, but he understands our need for a competitive pool. I think the most disappointing thing, and John would tell you this as well, is that, their mission is youth development and healthy living. And they do provide programs for all ages. But if you look at their revenues in the 990s, which I've done, a significant portion and the majority of their revenue is childcare. And that's where they make their money. And that helps them to offer other programs, you know, and to provide a facility with the pool, with the memberships, of 15 million, and John will tell you it's 16 million in revenues, which might be his current year, and I don't have that yet. But previously it's 14.7 million in annual revenues. That includes New Britain, what they do here in Berlin, and also Meriden. 1.6 million is membership. 7 million is programs. And included in that program number, the majority is childcare. That's programs. The others are the fees that they charge for their individual programs. You know, you want to do water aerobics, just like the town would do as well. There'd be a fee for the water aerobics to pay for the instructor or whatever. But so you look at they're basically break even. They lose a little bit money, they make a little bit money. It's all within 100,000 of break even. They have about $1 million endowment. And now John didn't provide that. That's just going to their tax returns and seeing all this information. They cannot provide programs that would meet the current statement of need for the senior center. And John will tell you that, and he did mention that. You know, they don't feel that they're duplicating or taking the place of Parks and Rec or the senior center. And as in every town that they operate, towns have their own senior center. And so it's really, as a commission or as a committee, advisory committee, you know, we're going to be reporting on two options, and it really, one is totally different than the other. One is going to be community and senior center, an integrated approach. You get all ages there. You get the benefits of that. You do all your senior programs, all your youth programs, all your Parks and Rec programs. For the most part, you know, you try and do in-house. You have the pools, but the negative is, yes, it's town funded. The other option will be the Y option. The pro is that it's not town funded, although there is fundraising that will have to take place because the Y needs to fundraise to get all the monies for the building. The National Y does not provide any funding. They provide some guidance. But the Y will hire their fundraiser and they'll go out and solicit funds. And John tells me that he thinks he can get more money from the federal government and from the state government than any municipality could have. I don't know that to be the case. I've followed the grants that the state has given. And what I do see is the Y's getting some monies, like Wallingford got a $750,000 grant in the last round for an extension and some rehab of their current Y in Wallingford. But they're all getting, you know, between that amount and $2 million, whether it's a town or a Y. So I think there'll be some significant fundraising that would have to be done. We have some follow-up questions that we did submit to John, and he called me last week and talked to me and talked through those questions. And I wrote down his answers and I've sent it back to him because I want to make sure I got it right before, you know, we would bring it to the committee. So again, disappointed that he wasn't able to give us more direction on the Y, but at the same time, how much does the Y really want to put forward if it's not going to be something the town would go after anyway? And again, don't know what the town will decide. We will be submitting a report sometime in April. And based on a month ago, the mayor indicated that the committee could do a report to the public and to the town council at the same time. There'd be some type of presentation, probably at the high school and then one at the senior center. And right now the commission is in the process of putting together PowerPoint and a detailed report, which really was just started at our last meeting. There's a fairly good amount of information that we have. It will be interesting to see how we all come together to put together, again, factual information. No sides taken by anyone on the committee, and present, the options. We'll see how it goes. What else?
Hey,
Jen,
Donna.
if I could
Yeah.
just let me just finish this and then Jen is working, with whomever, and Jen can talk about it, on an operating budget for the combined town-funded community and senior center, which is something that we need so that we can understand what the town, if the town would have to fund a portion of that. Most towns do. And, again, I always look to Newtown just because Newtown, you can get so much information from them. And it's a fairly new site. Again, not, equal to our current design or anything like that. But in Newtown, set aside the $1 million that they get every year from GE, the town there funded 600,000 of their operating budget. And the goal is to bring that facility to break even. So that kind of gives you the idea. We'll see, again, I don't want to presume anything. I know Jen's spending a fair amount of time trying to get all the information, including furniture and, other types of things that will be needed in that town funded facility. So, and that's it.
Hey, Donna, so
Yeah.
with the, was there any talk about, with the Y program, what's gonna happen to the senior centers? Gonna still run their own programs there? What happens to Park and Rec? And frankly, what happens to the school for young children on Main Street, right?
So
was.
just, okay. All right, so the Main Street facility, just so you know, that was just recently, there's I'll say a deal. That facility is going to be used as the transition academy that is used for the high school.
Okay.
That is part of the high school. They closed, the Y closed the childcare facility that they had up on Chamberlain Highway. And then, they used a portion of that building on Main Street for some childcare. But the majority of their activities here in Berlin are the before school and after school daycare that we have running out of Willard, and their summer camp that they run out of Willard. This transition academy that, will be run now out of the Main Street facility, which is really for, and Deb, correct me if I'm not right, but this is really for special ed type students, that they graduate later, or they leave the schools, they stay in the school system for a while, transition. And so they're taking that out of the school and moving it into the Main Street facility. Again, part of our Board of Ed, but that's what will happen. And then the
I think
Y,
they've already been in that building for 2 years though, just so you know.
yeah, they have, yep. Yeah, but now it's all, there's a deal, right? So, and it's all public information now. The Y is taking a couple of rooms, I believe, at McGee, classrooms, and a couple classrooms at Hubbard, and it may be, more than that or less than that, depending on the school. And they are going to run childcare out of the two schools. And that would be a full-time childcare. The Y will be paying for the conversion of those classrooms to meet the requirements for running a childcare facility.
Yes, thank you.
So they're going to take, some part of Hubbard, like I say, a couple classrooms, maybe a little more. I don't know the square footage. And then they're going to do the same at McGee. And McGee is towards the backside. And that's all part of this deal, and it's been vetted, and the council, I guess, has agreed to it, along with the Board of Ed and the Y. So And it will, it's run by John Benigni as executive director of the Meriden, New Britain, Berlin Y. I will tell you this, the only thing that in the answers of the questions that they provided to us, I had asked about summer camp because I know how many people go to that summer camp at Willard. It's very well attended. And there's a tremendous amount of cars that are at Willard during the summertime while they're running the camp. My concern is if they were going to move that camp to the new Y, if the town decides to go with a Y, will they move that camp to the Y? And if they did, because I'd be very concerned about how many parking spots that would take and how much usage out of the Y's facility that would take and take away from those members in town that want to use the Y facility. But he said that is something that they would be thinking about. He didn't say they would be doing it, but that they would be thinking about doing that.
It also would depend how much field space he had if he brought the wine in town.
Yeah. So what happens to the senior
The
center?
senior center will
So
continue
the
to run
senior,
if the Y comes in town. The senior center will continue to run as is.
That's it.
The Y would be a supplement addition of services.
And what
they
happens-
can't duplicate the senior center. They don't run a senior center. They don't want to run the lunch program, all that kind of stuff. So that's a negative because the town would still have to run the senior center. And again, there's great usage of the current site, but that site, I'll just, use the term, it sucks. The parking is terrible for the seniors. And the facility has, the operation has outgrown the facility tremendously. And it doesn't offer, that facility doesn't offer I'll say the younger seniors who want pickleball, who want all these other things, all these other activities. There's no room for it. Yes, there's the gym. The gym floor is not a great floor. But those things have to be thought about for the town as the community ages, so.
Hey, John,
and
so
parks- Go ahead.
I watched it I zoomed in.
Yeah,
And I thought it was just a classic fluff meeting where he didn't provide any information at all, nor were any hard questions really asked. And not taking anything away from you, I'm just saying that he just says, well, it's like this, that, well, we'll see, we'll do this, we'll do that. There was no substance conversation on his part of what his deliverables could be under whatever could happen sometime in the future. I mean, it was a waste of time. He didn't answer any of the questions really, and they're all fluff answers. And nobody held him accountable.
You know what they say, if you can't dazzle what brains baffle, yes.
It's a first pitch. That's all.
There was no first pitch.
well, it isn't a first pitch, just so, you're all understanding, right? This has been talked about with the Y for a number of years. So it's been talked about. The thing is, as I told John, and the questions that were raised to John that I don't think were answered completely were pretty good questions. They were very specific. And it's all.
I guess my
determined.
point is, they didn't hold his feet to the fire. Or just
Well,
ask.
and that's, yeah, and again, it will be interesting to see how our report presents the Y option, just because there aren't a lot of answers.
A lot of
There's,
problems with the live presentation.
You also-
It doesn't mean anything that we're looking for.
You also have to
Right.
remember that the committee does not have an opinion. The committee is.
That's
just
right.
trying to get
Correct.
findings.
So we're getting
So
the
yes,
facts.
could Don have asked harder questions that would have steered him in a direction? Yes. But as a committee member, they are impartial to it. So they just have to take the information that they are willing to give at this time.
I mean, there's a statement of need that was.
And he
Well,
said he
right.
cannot meet the
Right,
statement. of
cannot
needs.
meet it, so-
Right.
So why?
and quite frankly, they
It's
never
because they wanna
answered.
waste as much as possible, so.
It's not gonna cost us
No,
much.
it didn't say when he passes, that's the reason why, I can tell you right now. We're gonna get
Right,
sold
so-
on money, and that's the end of the story, let's be honest
So-
with each other.
So I'm just throwing this out, right? So I'm on the advisory committee. we need to, you know, I need to continue talking about the facts and presenting those facts to the public as a member. But the community has a right to get up and talk and speak. And especially those that have attended the meetings. There have been a few people that continue to come to our meetings and continue to bring up issues and clarify things. You know, and so, and I think they'll speak at those meetings. And as commission members, or, you know, even as citizens of Berlin, you all have that right as well. And, you know, it's up to you to use it. And I'd say that to anybody, doesn't matter what position you're on. I mean, I hope the public does weigh in on this before the council decides what path to take.
Okay, cool. I'd like to make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. That seriously?
Are we good?
Are we good, Donna? Motion
I'm
to
good.
adjourn?
Are you, and Jen, is there anything else to report?
Not that I
I
can
don't think so.
remember.
Okay.
Uh,
All right. Hey,
Thank
thanks,
you.
guys. Thank you very much.
So hold on. Star, you officially motion to adjourn. Andrew, you seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We never heard anything else from the,
Yes, the
the back.